Yo, welcome to the channel. In this video today, we're going to be going over a Stamina Warden tank for Blackwood. Now, let's go ahead and dive into it. Max Magic is 19.7k. Maximum health is 40.8. Maximum stamina is 26.7. Magic recovery unbuff is 1.8. Spell and physical resistance unbuffed are both 23k. Now, I'm a Nord. Keep that in mind. Your resistances may change if you're not a Nord. Nords have those special little passives. So, I have 4 points into Magicka, 50 into health, 10 into stamina. Now, if you wanted to, you could definitely drop your health to around 35, 36k, and you'll be okay. If you want to bump your Magicka up a little bit, you absolutely could, but I'm pretty comfortable at where I'm at. I haven't really had any issues. So, buffed, we're sitting at 2.2k magic recovery, 1.1k stamina recovery. Our spell resistance is 29k. And that is without the proc of one of our monster sets. So when our monster set procs, we are at cap. So the boon that we're running is the Atro, and food that I'm using is just basic buy-stat food, or tri-stat food that you get from the Crown Store. If you run something like longfin pasta, which is craftable, you'll get an extra 100 or so, 100 or 200 extra resources across the board, or be with sugar skulls if you want to. That's the best food for a tank. It'll give you health recovery, and it'll give you a lot more magicka. It'll give you 200-300 more magic health and stamina. So up to you. Just going off of easy to get stuff. Tri-stat food from the Crown is probably the quickest. You probably have a ton lying around due to the daily rewards and stuff. Champion points. For the passives in the green tree, I use Gilded Fingers, Fortune Favors. I have 15 here, just to bridge it. 50 into Steadfast Enchantment. I think that's pretty much it for the passives. Now, for the things that I actually keep on my bar, this should be on my bar, and so should this. Go ahead and confirm that. Treasure Hunter. It's always nice to have this on your bar. It just increases the quality of items you find in treasure chests. Worth having. Master Gatherer. Reduce the time it takes to harvest a node by 50%. And this one gives you a chance to get an extra, to double the resources you get from that node by 50%. Normally as a tank, my dungeon queue doesn't take long, but sometimes I do have 10-15 minutes to wait. So I'll run around and gather. So I just tend to leave these on my bar. But the main one that you do want is liquid efficiency. Whenever you use a potion or poison, you have a 10% chance to not consume it. It's just a 10% chance, but it can save you gold. Now, if you don't really care about these at all, like I would definitely keep Treasure Hunter, but if you don't really care about these two, Rationer's not bad. It increases the time on your food up to an extra 30 minutes. And then also Stead's Blessing, increasing your out of combat movement speed is nice as well. You can put those on your bar instead. And you know, as a tank, we're having to constantly run to keep up with DPS and stuff. So at least this way, this will give you a little extra movement speed to get through there. I wouldn't really worry about this one. The cost of repairing isn't that big of a deal. The reduced cost of sneak isn't necessarily that big of a deal as a tank either. So those would just be my other options if you really don't care about the resource nodes. Blue tree. For the passives, I have 20 into Eldritch Insight, 20 into Tireless Discipline. And then I have 20 into Blessed, which just increases my healing done by 2%. Not really that important. It's just when you get the extra champion points, it's worth putting some in. 20 into Quick Recovery, 20 into Hardy, 20 into Preparation, 20 into Elemental Aegis. Now, for the ones that I keep on my bar, at all times, Duelist Rebuff, Unassassinable, Bulwark, and Reinforced. Now, there are times where, depending on the dungeon I'm doing, depending on what's going on, I may switch out one of these more for Enduring Resolve, which reduces the damage taken from overtime attacks. But that's just kind of where I'm at. You know, it's rarely used, but sometimes I do use it. So outside of that, that's pretty much your main ones for your blue tree, or at least I would keep these on my bar. Now, the red tree. It's where it gets a little bit complicated and you have more options. Balanced Vitality, for the ones I keep on my bar, it's Balanced Vitality, gives me max health. Ironclad gives me armor. Rejuvenation gives me more health, magic, and stamina recovery. And Bloody Renewal, which every time we kill an enemy, I restore 1500 stamina. So I never really run out of stamina. If you wanted to, you could switch this out for Magicka, the siphoning spells, if you feel like you're running out of Magicka, or you're just having trouble sustaining, whichever one you can go with. Now for the passives, 30 into Tumbling, 20 into Defiance. This one, I'm at 22, but it will be 50 when it's over with. Hero's Vigor, 16 into Hasty, 20 into Sprinter. Sprinter isn't necessarily that big of a deal, but as like I said, running after the DPS and stuff does cost quite a bit of stamina. As a tank, we need that stamina. So this is nice to have, as long as this is increasing our movement speed. 20 into Tireless Guardian, 30 into Fortification, 6 into Nimble Protector, 30 into Savage Defense, and 20 into Bashing Brutality. Now, I put 10 here. It's just to bridge the gap from here to there. If you're not paying attention, whatever, you can get caught sleeping or whatever. Temper Soul is nice, so that way when you get resurrected, you don't come up with 0 magicka, 0 stamina, and a little bit of health. At least this way you get back 10% of your resources. Or at least you get 10% more resources. So I do tend to like having this just in case. Maybe there's a little lag in the game or something like that, and I just get one shot at this right here. It's nice to have. So, but if you don't want these, like you really don't care about these, you can always just kind of buff this up. Go ahead and take this to 50 if you have the extra CP. And then if you want to, bridge the gap. But honestly, outside of that, I don't see much else. Because all this is add to your champion bars. And honestly, this or this one works. And then these 3 are pretty solid as well. So, now, for the sets. Monster set, we're going with Bloodspawn. Infused Light Helmet with max health. And Sturdy Shoulders with max health. Now, basically, what this comes from Spindle Clutch 2? Yeah, Spindle Clutch 2. It gives a stamina recovery, which isn't necessarily a big deal. But when you take damage, you have a 6% chance to generate 13 ultimate. Increase your physical and spell resistance by 3.6 for 5 seconds. This effect can occur once every 5 seconds. This is just to help us with our ulti regen. Plus, with the resistance from this, we go from 2.9 to basically 32.6, which is soft cap, which is pretty much the cap for resistance, physical and spell resistance for PvE. Any more than that, it pretty much becomes useless for PvE. PvP, not so much, but PvE, it does. So, I like this for the ultimate. Plus, with the Nord passive on the ulti regen and this, we get so much ultimate back just off of those alone. And then we pair it with the second set, Dragon. Now, you don't need this golded out. You really don't. You can have it purple. You can have it with max health and just kind of adjust your stamina points or your attribute points to adjust. I use this quite a bit in trials, so I do have it golded out, and I do have it tri-stat glyphed. That's just me personally. You don't need it. You can just have max health glyphs. It's cheaper. But we're running chest and legs infused with waist, gloves, and feet sturdy. Now, this gives us magic recovery, healing taken, max health. The 5-piece adds health recovery, and it reduces the cost of your ultimate abilities by 15%. So, it's just a nice little set to have, especially as an off tank or a main tank. If you're off on your own, this can come in handy. It just allows us to pop more ultimates. It just allows us to do a lot more. So I like having this. So, you have to wear this on the body. I know sometimes some of the sets that are out, you can make changes, but the second 5-piece set that we're running is medium armor. So you have to use sword and board and jewelry. So now the second 5-piece set that we're running is Hide of the Werewolf. We're running a decisive sword. It can be any one-hander, dagger, mace, axe, whatever. I just have a sword. It's decisive with a weakening enchant, which reduces the target's weapon damage and spell damage by 174 for 5 seconds. We're running a sturdy shield with max stamina. This could be max health if you want it. It could be max magicka if you want it. It could be whatever. It just came with a max stamina glyph, and honestly, I didn't feel like changing it. So you can really put whatever you want on here. If you want a little more magic on your front bar, you can make this a magic glyph. So, and then we have an ice staff infused with a crusher enchant that reduces the target's physical and spell resistance by 2k for 5 seconds on our back bar. And then jewelry, we're running, it's all robust, it's what it comes in. with all Magicka recovery lifts. Now, Hide of the Werewolf comes from Glenumbra. It's an overland set. It's pretty easy to farm, and it is pretty cheap. I went through doing this when I was looking for this, and pretty much filled out the whole sheet here, and I think I spent around 60K total buying every piece. Now I will say I did have most of the body pieces myself and the jewelry, but even then, I used green or blue jewelry to fill that out. And even then, I was able to upgrade to purple when it was time, even just a few weeks ago. I think I spent 5K for the necklace and about 3K each for the purple rings. Now, of course, this is PS4 NA, so it is an extremely cheap set. So, now, what this set does, it's from Glenumbra, it's an overland set. It gives us max health, max stamina, weapon damage, which isn't a big deal. But the 5-piece, when we take damage, you generate 6 ultimate. This effect can occur once every 5 seconds. So this is just an old school ulti regen set. It just basically just gives us ultimate every 5 seconds. It's going to give us 6. So from the Nord passive, with this set, Blood Spawn, and the fact that this right here reduces the cost of our ultimates, we get Warhorns back. I'm able to cast my Warhorns every section that you would want in a boss fight, especially in Vet. At the beginning, around 60%, and then again around that 25-30% mark. Does not take much for me to get these ultimates back. Now, you can use this is an overland set as well. It comes from East March. So again, this whole outfit except for Bloodspawn, you can buy overland. You can either buy it from traders or you can go farm it overland. Like I said, Activate Dragon Guard comes from East March, and Hide of the Werewolf comes from Glenumbra. Now, Arceus is nice too. It gives you, when you pop a potion, it gives everybody in the group 44 ultimate or so. I think around that. That's nice as well. You could definitely put that instead of Dragon Guard. I think it will pretty much, it works out to be about the same or so. So it's not a bad setup. It's just going to allow us to get a ton of ultimate back pretty quick. And there are potions that you can use that will give you major heroism, which is something we don't have in this setup. There's things that will just give you ultimate poisons and stuff like that. You can use those too. That will also help generate a lot of ultimate. Plus, we have the decisive trait on our sword, so we're just getting back ultimate like it's crazy. So we have no issues. Now for the skills, Pierce Armor. This is your main taunt. It's going to taunt and it's going to make an enemy taunt. Get tongue tied there. It's going to taunt an enemy for 15 seconds, and it's going to afflict them with minor breach and major breach on the enemy, reducing their physical and spell resistance by 2.9 and 5.9 for 15 seconds. So that's all it is. Just your taunt. Heroic Slash. We're going to deal the damage. We're going to inflict them with minor maim, reducing their damage down by 5% for 12 seconds. You also gain minor heroism, granting you 1 ultimate every 1.5 seconds for 12 seconds. Polar Wind. Envelop yourself in winter winds, instantly healing you for 8.888 health, and an additional 1.75 health every 1 second over 5 seconds. The wind also sweeps out in search of an ally within 12 meters, healing them for 88888 health. While this effect persists, the wind's pulsing outwards, dealing 913 frost damage every 1 second to nearby enemies. The healing from this ability scales off your max health. Growing Swarm. Unleash a swarm of Fetcher Flies to relentlessly attack an enemy, causing them to bleed for 8.4k bleed damage over 10 seconds. The Fletcher Flies rip through the original enemy's flesh, afflicting them with minor vulnerability for the duration, increasing their damage taken by 5%. Enemies near the carrier take 935 bleed damage every 2 seconds for the duration. So, minor maim, reduce their damage done by 5%, and this is going to cause them to take more damage by 5%. So these two are really nice to have. And then this here is Budding Seeds, summon a field of flowers which blooms after 6 seconds, healing you and allies in the area for 6.7k health. While the fields grow, you and allies are healed for 777 health every 1 second. You can activate this again to cause it to instantly bloom. An ally within the field can activate the Harvest Synergy, healing for 7.8k health over 5 seconds. This is just a nice little heal to throw down. And this is pretty much what it looks like. That's it. As long as they stay in that blue circle, they will continue to heal and have no issues. Plus, As you saw, my health jumped from 40k to 44k. And that is because of the passive under the green balance tree. When you heal yourself or an ally under 40% health with green balance ability, you gain major mend, increasing your healing done by 16% for 3 seconds. So that's not why my health jumped up. But I like having this just in case. If I can hit somebody with this that are under 40% health, that major mending is just nice to have. It lasts for 3 seconds, so it's pretty nice. That's why I like using this. Now, when you heal an ally with a green balance ability, you gain 250 magicka or 250 stamina, whichever resource pool is lower. This effect can occur once every 1 second. So again, that's why I like having that on my bar. It gives me back resources. This just increases my healing done. It's not that big of a deal. It's 2%. When you activate a heal on yourself or an ally, you grant the target minor toughness, increase their max health by 10% for 20 seconds. Now, the heal does not have to be budding seeds. It does not have to be healing thicket. It does not have to be any heal from this tree line right here at all. But it can be heals from polar wind here. It can be vigor, whatever. As long as it's a heal, it will trigger minor toughness. So, but the other effects from Nature's Give and accelerated growth, I like using budding seeds. You can use fungal growth as well. I mean, it does have a stamina morph and it has a magical morph, but it's hard to get people to stand straight in front of you. A lot of the times, a lot of people are moving, they're dancing, and at least this way, you can just throw that down, and it's a big circle. So even if they're moving around in circles this way and that way while they're DPSing, at least this way, they're going to get hit with the heal. So you don't have to sit here and turn and trying to get that heal on them. At least all you got to do is throw it down, and it works. So that's just why I like budding seeds. I know that was a long explanation, but I wanted to say it. That's why I use it. You don't have to use it. You can use Echoing Vigor. You could use fungal growth. You can use living vines or lotus flowers. I mean, there's other things you can use, but I like budding seeds. And then, of course, on the front bar, we have Aggressive Warhorn. You send a Warhorn to rally your forces, increasing you and your group's max magicka and max stamina by 10% for 30 seconds. You and your allies gain major force, increasing your critical damage by 20% for 10 seconds. I use this on my front bar. That's it. That's why it's there. I mean, I use on my back bar, I use Healing Thicket. Now, you can always switch this out if you want to. Just switch them up. But I don't know. Recently, with the lag, I find myself getting stuck on my back bar if too much is going on. So I just like to have it on my front bar. Honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that heal has come in handy quite a bit with the Healing Thicket, I would probably just put Warhorn on both bars due to this lag. But that's just me. So, anyways, back bar, Inner Rage, ignite the fires of hate in an enemy's heart, dealing some magic damage. But we're taunting them to attack you for 15 seconds. A ranged ally can activate the synergy, dealing 5.5k magic damage to them over 3 seconds. Additional 5.5k magic damage to them and other nearby enemies. That's not really why we're using it. Why we're using it is that, let's say we're here, we're taunting this enemy, but we got a DPS way over there that is being chased by an ad, and instead of bringing it to you, they're running for their life. Boom. Taunt. He'll come to you. And if he don't come to you, then you just hit him with our second ability. Oh. Why is it glowing? I don't know why it's glowing if we couldn't reach him. Okay. Feel a little lag. So, that's all it's there. And make sure when they get to you, when they do run up on you, you just puncture them. So that way they have major breach and minor breach attached to them. That's it. Silver Leash, fire a crossbow hook to pull an enemy to you, dealing damage and reducing their movement speed by 30% for 4 seconds. This is just our leash. That's it. We're just pulling it. Now, this is a fire skilled ability, so it does take a minute to get. I think it's like the first or second one, so it's not necessarily that hard to get. But if you want to use a more Warden ability, Frozen Device is a nice one. You summon an Ancient Portal. I'll just go ahead and show you while I'm at it. You summon a portal. When triggered, the enemy is teleported to you, immobilized for 3 seconds, deals 3.7k frost damage, and afflicts them with Major Maim, reducing their damage done by 10% for 4 seconds. You can have up to 3 Frozen Devices active at a time. So basically, if you don't want to use the leash, you just throw this down. Takes a little second, and then anybody in it will teleport to you. Of course, then they have Major Maim. You can have 3 down. That's it. If you use the third, boom, they come to you. So you can do that too if you want to. It's up to you. Me personally, I like the use of Silver Leash, so that way I can control who gets pulled to me and win. This one, it can literally pull any enemy that is within it. I think it pulls the one that's more closer to the center at first, but for the most part, it can pull anybody. So I like Silver Leash because it gives me control. If I want that one pulled instead of that one, it's going to pull it to me instead. That's just me. Go with whichever one you like. And then we have Block and Frost. Slam your staff down or create an ice barrier. The damage is whatever. But as we slam down, we apply Frost Safeguard. For 6 seconds, you and nearby allies that absorb up to 10.8k damage from projectiles. Chilled enemies become frozen and are immobilized for 4 seconds. Basically, that's this. A nice little shield protects us from damage. But one of the things also, as you can see, Crusher is just keeps resetting. That's it. So it's nice to have. There, they were hit with Frost. Or chilled, my bad. As you can see, so as we can flip to this bar, you'll see Weakening and Crusher both on them. So it's just a nice little thing to have. And as long as it's down, it will continue to proc the back bar. So there it goes. Our ultimate's building up there, as you can see from the bottom. So that's why it's there. It just keeps pressure on the enemy, so make sure you keep that down as much as possible. And keep the enemies in it. I think it hits all enemies in it. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it does. Ice Fortress. Wrap a thick cloak of ice around you and your allies. The ice grants major resolve, increasing your physical and spell resistance by 5.9k for 23 seconds. You gain minor protection, reducing your damage taken by 5% for 23 seconds. So we get minor protection, and we get our major resolve, and the rest of the Grit Mariners will get the major resolve as well, but they do not get the minor protection. So this is going to, enemy's going to take 5% less damage, or deal 5% less damage, and we take 5% less damage. So it works out for us in the end. Bullet Edge. Call Bullet Edge to your side, which restores 4.8k stamina to you over 24 seconds, and grants you major brutality and sorcery, increasing your weapon and spell damage by 20%. Every 5 seconds, the Edge removes 1 negative effect from you. Now, there is another morph as well that's a magical morph. If you feel like you're running, because we do have a huge pool of stamina. We have 26k, almost 27k. Between shards, orbs, if you find yourself not really needing stamina, but you find yourself lacking in magicka, by all means, you can take the other morph for this that gives you magicka back instead of stamina. It's up to you. Use whichever one feels like it suits you better. So, and then Healing Thicket. Swell a healing force at the target location, instantly healing the most injured friendly target for 7k health. The force continues to heal you and your allies in the area for 2.3k health every 1 second for 6 seconds. The healing over time will continue to heal you or your allies for 4 seconds after leaving the force. Honestly, the only time I use this is if the rest of the group has pretty much wiped. I'm on my own. I need to res somebody. So what I'll do is that I will buff up. I'll have that stuff going. I will wind, drop budding seeds, and drop this. And then I will res. I don't die. It will not kill me. They do not come close. So, which by the time I get that one up, I can turn around and start focusing on the ads, the boss, whatever, pull them away, and the other DPS can heal. If for whatever reason he's taking damage as well, I can drop that budding seed over there while he is resing somebody, he or she resing somebody, and basically it covers it for me. They can take some heals. Plus, with Polar Winds, they can get another heal from me as well, so I stay relatively close, because I got to be within 12 meters. As you can see, it pulsating there is how far it goes out. So if they're away from you, they're not going to get it. Oop. I don't know why it wasn't pulsating right there. There it goes. You can see it pulsating now. So yeah, that's pretty much the skills. Now, by all means, you can definitely use something like Barrier if you wanted to. You can use, I wouldn't recommend Sleet Storm. You can also use the one-handed sword and shield if you wanted to, shield wall. But I kind of like these. I like what I'm using. I like the setup. Armor-wise, like I said, this comes from Millen Umbra. It's a very easy set, very cheap set to get. Bloodspawn, Spindle Clutch 2, one of the easiest monster sets to get for tanking. Dragon comes from East March, another Overland set, pretty easy to get. relatively cheap because it is kind of flooded the market in PS4 NA. But farming, you can definitely replace like Dragon or even Werewolf High with Arceus, and you'll be absolutely okay. Or you can honestly replace Dragon with Drake's Rush. You can replace Werewolf Hide with Drake's Rush. Doesn't matter. And just go Drake Rush, Arceus if you wanted to. So, either one of them sets, any of those sets could work for you for ulti regen. If you just like to pop out them Warhorns, or if you want to do damage and you just want to Sleet Storm, whatever. It's up to you on however you want to take it. But I like this setup. I have no issues with this setup. So, let me know what you think. Let me know what you're running on your Warden. Until next time, take care. Have fun.